These images were shared online without anyone realizing the truth hiding inside them. No warnings, no obvious danger, just ordinary moments frozen seconds before everything went wrong. Stay till the end because the final image completely changes how you interpret the rest. And once the backstories are revealed, you will never look at normal photos the same way again. At 10 o'clock at night on January 31st, 2012, Chen Rongyu walked into an internet cafe in New Taipei City, carrying nothing but exhaustion and intention, the kind of intention that narrows a person's world until it fits inside a glowing rectangle. He did not scan the room, did not register the rows of occupied computers, or the 30 or so people already seated and swallowed by their screens. He paid for his time, bought a soda, and chose a terminal without ceremony, because anonymity was the point. This cafe offered him invisibility, and invisibility meant freedom to disappear into a game he treated not as entertainment, but as obligation. League of Legends loaded, the familiar battlefield bloomed across the screen, and Chen leaned forward as though proximity could sharpen his reflexes. Hours slipped by unnoticed. His body protested quietly, at first dry eyes, stiff fingers, a dull ache in the chest he had learned to ignore. But the match demanded attention, and attention was something he gave without limit. By the time morning came, and then passed into afternoon, Chen had barely moved. He refilled his drink, grabbed a snack, lowered his head to the desk for brief, awkward naps, measured in minutes rather than rest, and returned to the keyboard with renewed urgency. 14 hours became 20. His performance improved as his body failed, a cruel trade-off he never noticed. In the middle of an intense match, with his team on the brink of collapse and victory hinging on a single well-timed decision, Chen's focus sharpened to a razor edge. His hands moved fast, his posture rigid, his breath shallow. And then, without drama or sound, his heart stopped. The excitement that surged through him in that moment did not pass. It locked him in place. For 9 hours, Chen Rongyu remained seated exactly as he had been, eyes open toward the screen, hands frozen near the mouse and keyboard. Around him, life continued in the way it does when people are taught not to look at one another. Gamers arrived and left. Matches ended and restarted. No one noticed that Chen did not blink, did not shift, did not breathe. It was not until the cashier made her routine rounds that the illusion broke. She tapped his shoulder in irritation, expecting a startled response. Instead, Chen rocked backward, stiff and unyielding, his arms jutting unnaturally forward. The scream that followed cut through the hum of computers and the clatter of keys, because what she saw was not a tired gamer, but a body long gone cold, preserved in concentration by rigor mortis. Chen's wish to be left alone had been fulfilled too completely. More than a decade later, and thousands of miles away, Samuel Gomez stepped out of a hotel lobby in Portland, Oregon, unaware that the ordinary act of curiosity was about to rewrite his life. He had arrived from Phoenix that morning, a 48-year-old professional attending a conference, momentarily unburdened by schedules and responsibilities, when noise erupted down the street, honking horns, raised voices, a cluster of people forming an uneven ring around something unseen. Samuel did what most people do. He walked toward it. He lifted his phone. He began to document. From a distance, the scene suggested authority. A man stood near a vehicle, posture assertive, directing attention and traffic. Samuel assumed he was a police officer because that assumption made sense. The presence of order, even improvised order, is comforting. As Samuel approached, he framed the man in his camera and pressed the shutter. The photograph captured a frozen instant, a weapon raised and aimed directly at him. The man was not law enforcement. His name was Jeffrey Hammond, and moments earlier he had shot and unalived another man, Ryan Martin, during a road rage confrontation. The crowd was not watching a disturbance being resolved. They were watching a life-taker, still armed, still volatile. Samuel Gomez did not have time to understand this before the weapon fired again. The photo was taken seconds before the shot. He was hit and collapsed into a chaos he had wandered into by accident. Unlike Chen Rongyu, Samuel survived. He would live with the knowledge that a single misinterpretation, one step closer, one assumption, unchallenged, nearly cost him his life. Jeffrey Hammond was arrested and charged with unalive, but the image Samuel captured would outlive the trial as a reminder that danger does not always announce itself clearly, and that cameras do not protect the people holding them. Years earlier, in a remote stretch of northern Venezuela, Luis Hernandez sat inside a stone shack that served as both home and studio, surrounded by clutter and colour. He was a painter by trade and temperament, drawn to bold portraits and intense contrasts, faces rendered in red and blue that seemed to stare back at him when the light shifted just right. The shack belonged to his partner, Lisandro Rosales Garcia, a man who had offered Luis shelter when he was homeless, and later something deeper when companionship turned into love. When Lisandro disappeared, leaving behind silence and unanswered questions, Luis retreated inward. His grief did not find words. It found materials. The final piece he worked on that day looked deceptively gentle. Leaves, floral shapes, a suggestion of stained glass. He applied the last strokes with care, stepping back to take in the work not as decoration, but as tribute. It was meant to honour Lisandro, to give form to loss. When voices sounded outside the shack and fists struck the door, Luis assumed the police had come with news. They had come for something else. Officers pushed past him and began seizing his supplies, their movements brisk and practiced. One of them noticed the finished piece on the wall and stopped. He looked longer than expected, then he ran outside and vomited. The materials used in the painting were not paint alone. The red was blood. The black was ash. Luis Hernandez had been using the remains of his victims, 6 at least, including Lisandro Rosales Garcia, to create his art. Investigators would uncover evidence of life-taking, desecration, and cannibalism hidden in plain sight beneath the language of creativity and grief. Luis confessed. The paintings, once admired for their intensity, became evidence of something far darker, the transformation of human life into aesthetic object. These stories do not connect by geography or motive. They connect through moments when the ordinary collapses without warning. A game becomes a grave. Art becomes a ledger of death. Each photograph associated with these events carries a weight that extends beyond what it shows. They are not horrifying because they depict radicalism directly, but because they capture the instant before understanding, the fraction of time when everything still seems normal. Chen Rongyu's image shows a young man hunched over a keyboard, indistinguishable from anyone else in the room, except that life has already left him. Samuel Gomez's photo freezes a weapon mid-aim, revealing truth only after it is too late to step back. Luis Hernandez's artwork hides its origins behind beauty, forcing the viewer to confront how easily context can transform meaning. In each case, the pain is retrospective. The danger was invisible until it was complete. You've now seen how harmless images can conceal terrifying realities. Which story hit you the hardest? Which image made you pause after the explanation? Do moments like these change how you see everyday scenes? Drop your thoughts in the comment section. and let others know your perspective. Follow for more disturbing stories, hiding behind ordinary images.